Ben Sulayem has received a lot of recent backlash from Hamilton and Russell regarding the changes in Appendix B that were hinted at by the president of the FIA. It seems like the drivers have zero to no trust that such changes will be implemented, and everything is just talk and no action, which is further putting Ben Sulayem under pressure to keep his position alive. But is this speaking out from Russell and Hamilton enough to further cement the position that the drivers have to Ben Sulayem? And more importantly, where does that put him in the greater scheme of the governing body? There is no doubt about it, the drivers are in a full hate mode for Ben Sulayem, and they made sure to let it be known in the latest press conference addressing the potential upcoming changes to Appendix B. Ben Sulayem has been under a lot of scrutiny for meddling with the rules of swearing, as F1 drivers have been loud and clear that this type of behaviour is unacceptable from a president of the FIA. Now, Ben Sulayem understood the pressure that came at the worst possible time for him, just when he was supposed to defend his presidency at the end of the year in front of the board. And when talking about the changes in Appendix B, Ben Sulayem said, "Following constructive feedback from drivers across our 7 FIA World Championships, I am considering making improvements to Appendix B. As a former rally driver, I understand the demands they face better than most. Appendix B is a key part of the International Sporting Code and is central in keeping the sport accessible for all our sporting family. Humans make the rules and humans can improve the rules. This principle of continuous improvement is something I've always believed in and is at the heart of all we do at the FIA." Unfortunately, we have to disagree with Ben Sulayem here. The former members of the FIA have stated loud and clear that they are not supportive of their president, and this is the primary reason why they left the FIA. 2 of those are Robert Reid and David Richards. The first one was the ex-vice president of the FIA, while the second one was the chairman of Motorsport UK, and both of them decided to leave the FIA because they weren't allowed to attend a meeting in which they denied signing an NDA. This is the meeting that saw the mandatory 2-stop rule for Monaco being voted, so it's definitely something that puts the transparency process into question. And as of late, both Hamilton and Russell have questioned the integrity of the governing body when it comes to implementing these changes in real life. One of them is the already known hater of Ben Sulayem, Lewis Hamilton, as the 7-time world champion went on to say, "Ultimately, we don't hold a power seat at the table, and that needs to change, in my opinion. People making decisions for others that have never been in that position. It's good to have the point of view from the driver's perspective, and that's all we try to give." This comes after the beef that Hamilton had with Ben Sulayem regarding the jewellery ban, and when it was originally proposed, the 7-time world champion pulled up to the 2022 Miami GP with all of the jewellery he could possibly wear to mock the FIA's politics. Furthermore, he was seen walking past Ben Sulayem in Jeddah while the president tried to have a conversation with him, which proves that the stance of Hamilton hasn't changed at all. He still has zero respect for the current FIA president, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. And this is definitely a solid statement by Hamilton. We are looking at a very difficult period where the drivers are the ones who have no right to say anything in the sport they are participating in. Yes, they have their own body, GPDA, which is led by the former driver Alex Wirtz and the current one, George Russell, but when it comes to the important decisions being brought by the governing body, they can only suggest things publicly. This is something that Russell has been complaining a lot about lately, saying that the GPDA needs to have a bigger say in the FIA's voting processes. But now, regarding the change to Appendix B, the Mercedes driver is very skeptical because he's been hearing about this for a very long period of time, but hasn't seen any changes actually being implemented to the sport. Furthermore, Russell said, "We want to see these things put into action rather than saying we're considering things. We all consider a lot of things. We are clear we want changes. So it's just the fact that the words don't mean anything until the change is being made." And here is the real problem for the F1 drivers and the FIA. They have absolutely no synchronization between them at all. These drivers know more than anyone how hard it is to keep things by the current rulebook. They can't swear, they can't criticize a decision of the steward or somehow hurt their feelings, because it would ultimately mean that they are risking a penalty. If we're to look at other championships like football or basketball, it's not like the top bodies are worried about the opinion of the drivers. They are leading their own politics and are letting the players decide whatever is best for them, thanks to constructive dialogues and feedback provided decided on the table. As I mentioned earlier in the video, we definitely have a problem with the drivers not having a seat on the FIA's table, and this is something that has been stressed out by Russell many times in the past. Elaborating on this absolute necessity, the Brit said, "Unfortunately, every time we hear some news from that side of the sport, the FIA's, it's not really a big surprise. So it's clearly a real shame to see someone who is very well respected within the sport and has been there for so long. As we keep saying, what's next? Yeah, it's a shame to see, and hopefully we get more stability sooner rather than later." All of the drivers have 100% trust and faith in Stefano Domenicali in F1, and we know that they work together with the teams. It's in all of our interest to make something come of all this and see stability and collaboration moving forward. We just want collaboration. It doesn't make any sense to be fighting on these topics. The criticism has arrived from Tim Mayer, the former race director, as well. Mayer left the position because he had a similar stance to people like Reed and Richards. He felt like the FIA was moving in the wrong direction, and he didn't shy away from pointing the finger towards Ben Sulayem. There seems to be a general belief that the former Emirati driver is running the FIA like its own political party in a very dictatorial manner, and if somebody were to disagree with his politics, he would have been the subject of a direct or indirect pressure from Ben Sulayem himself. Elaborating further on this, Mayer went on to say, Ben Sulayem's view was that the drivers need to be penalised for swearing. That is his view, and what has happened since reflects that. There are times when he has directly involved himself in making his views known, not with the stewards directly, but via his staff. Part of the job of the stewards is to enforce the FIA's policy on the rules. Technically, bad language is outlawed, so it's not unfair. Whether it's sensible we should be chasing drivers for rather mild swearing is another matter. This is showing another very important message as well. Not everyone in the FIA was positive for the swearing penalties that Ben Sulayem imposed in Appendix B. By trying to protect the stewards and the FIA personnel, he made them way too vulnerable and hated by the drivers without any particular reason or particular influence from their side. This is why changes are more than needed, and rest assured they are on their way. Susie Wolff has been dubbed to be one of the highest ranking individuals who could replace Ben Sulayem because of her experience and presence in the sport, but more importantly because of her mission to support minorities and women in a world dominated by men. She would have all the right reasons to run as well, given the fact that the FIA, led by Ben Sulayem, launched an investigation against her and Toto Wolff without any proof at all, only for them to drop it as briefly as they started it, which has gone on to show the incompetence of certain figures in the FIA. But she did deny that she has any ambitions to run for the presidency once this seat is open. So it will be interesting to see what is going to happen with the FIA if they decide to move away from the controversial presidency of Ben Sulayem. With all this in mind, what do you think about the latest bombshells from Russell and Hamilton regarding Ben Sulayem? And more importantly, do you think that he is going to be replaced after this latest pressure from these renowned F1 figures? Let us know in the comments below, and once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.